Hey everybody, and welcome to this video! I've been playing through Plants vs. Zombies again recently, off-stream and off-camera, and doing so has inspired me to make my very own Plants vs. Zombies plant tier list, as many others have done, I am sure. Technically, this tier maker template includes every single plant from every other game in the franchise, but we're just gonna focus on Plants vs. Zombies 1 because this is the only one I have actually played. I don't have much interest in trying out the others, so very sorry if that's disappointing. Anyway, I'm going to rank every single plant based on how they are in the vanilla game, and the basis of ranking is going to be, in any Choose Your Seeds level, would I bring this plant? That's how it's going to go. And if there's a situational plant like Gravebuster, then we're only going to be considering the world it's most useful in. Which, you know, like plants like Gravebuster, they're only good in one world. So we're going to be considering how useful they are in that world. With those two simple rules done, I don't see any reason to keep stalling and building it up. Let's just get right to the rankings. So, Pea Shooter! By the way, the background music is all from Elden Ring, from my Elden Ring soundtrack playlist, so... Alright, Pea Shooter is, I mean, it's really good for this at the start of the game, obviously. I'm also gonna consider, like, any game mode, not just Adventure 1, but maybe Adventure 2, maybe some of the mini-games, because some of the mini-games do let you choose plants, survival modes, etc. And, considering everything... I would say Pea Shooter is definitely, like, somewhere around B. It's definitely not a plant I bring... It's not a plant I bring beyond the first... very often beyond the first half of Adventure 1. Because once I start to get into the second half of Adventure 1, starting with, like, 3-6 and onwards, then I just kind of replace it with Repeater, because, you know, the Pea Shooters just can't really keep up with the giant zombie hordes. I don't know, I just feel like I have enough of a grasp on the game that I can keep going with just Repeater. Or I have enough plants unlocked that I have a couple of stall plants available, like Potato Mine or Squash or anything like that, that can keep the zombies at bay while I work on the sun, so I can set up Repeaters. Because usually, if I just, like, stall the zombies, make a huge field of sunflowers, I can set up Repeaters just fine, just in the nick of time before the zombies really become a problem. Okay, this is a loud one. Can I not have that one play? Thank you. That's much better. So yeah, Pea Shooters, they're good at first. They're good when you don't have a ton of the later plants, I guess. Even then, are they really? I don't know. I think B is a fine spot for them. Pea Shooters do fine. I mean, they take out standard zombies just fine. If you put one down in a lane, not a single standard zombie is going to be able to make it through. But as soon as the tanky zombies become more and more prevalent, that's when I think I'd rather just, like, hold out and build up a bunch of Repeaters instead. And also, like, there's so many other plants. I think the main reason is, I've been beating around the bush a lot, no pun intended, but I think the main reason why I start to neglect Pea Shooter is that there are so many other plants to bring as you go that there's no room in the slot list for Pea Shooter anymore. So I usually have to bring, like, one shooter plant, and usually it's gonna be Repeater, because it's just an all-around great plant. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Let's move on. Pea Shooter's alright. I'd give him B just because, you know, it does the job of nothing else. I don't think it's quite a C tier plant. You know, I might remove E tier. I don't think E tier is very necessary. Yeah, sorry. We're just gonna go right to F. There we go. I have no idea why the color order starts with red at top and then green at the bottom. You'd think that would be the other way around, but hey, what do I know? There's a live voting poll? Anyway, sunflowers. This is probably the easiest S tier of my life. I mean, you need them to play the game. They give you the sun that you need to plant anything. Like, without them, you can barely do anything. I know it is possible to beat Adventure 1 without them. I am aware, but, like, if you don't want to do a challenge run and you want to play the game normally, which of course I want to do, then you need sunflowers. I guess, like, the one thing that their one weakness is that in nighttime levels, they are less efficient than sunshrooms, which does make me consider moving them down a tier to A. But then again, their name starts with S, and 3 of the 5 worlds of adventure are daytime. In fact, I think the majority of the game, including minigames, takes place in the daytime. And when you're in the daytime, of course you're going to use sunflowers. Like, you have to bring them. The game will pop up a warning message if you don't bring them, saying like, hey buddy, you should have a sun-producing plant. I'm just saying. They are that important to your cause. So yeah, I'm gonna give them S. Of course, you're gonna bring them in day. In night, you basically replace them with sun shrooms, which is like the only reason why we consider it not being S, but whatever. Who cares? This is just a for fun tier list anyway. I'm not gonna think super hard about this. Cherry Bomb is my personal favorite plant, just because I love being able to place it and just blow up everyone. It can kill so many zombies at once. I honestly thought it was a little overpowered when I first played it, but of course it is not it's only overpowered in the day levels. As you go, the zombies definitely get stronger. But as for whether I would bring it, it really depends. There are some times in the late game when there are so many other better plants that I don't end up bringing a single explosive plant just because there's no room for them. That said, I mean, it is one of my go-to plants usually. Whenever I want to bring an explosive plant, I usually choose Cherry Bomb. Just because, you know, if a set of lanes is getting a little crazy and I don't exactly have too many defenses up there yet, which is a rare situation, but it could still happen, I can, you know, blast all those zombies away and not worry about it. In the final wave, I can kill half of the entire wave in an instant. There is someone you meet later on who can kill the full wave entirely, but, you know, they have the catch that they're a nighttime plant. So yeah, I'm gonna give Cherry Bomb A tier. I definitely bring it more than the pea shooter, so yeah. I think that's a good place for it. Walnut. Extremely useful plant. Once again, A tier. Honestly, might go above Cherry Bomb, just because, you know, one of the first zombie types introduced is Conehead, and one of the main things you need to do is put a walnut in front of them so that they have to stop and eat away at the walnut while your single pea shooter is able to take them out. Like, walnut is like the reason that you can stop defensive zombies in the early game. Especially if you place them well. Now, walnut does become considerably less useful if you try to place them in preparation for zombies. But if you place them in reaction to zombies, they're a lot better. And so when you use them that way, they definitely make A tier. I wouldn't say S tier just because you do get more defensive plants as the game goes, and you really only need one defensive plant, I find. But the walnut is, of course, the cheapest. It takes a long time to place them down in every single lane, so, like, they don't do as much on shorter levels, but hopefully in those shorter levels, if a Conehead, for example, appears in a different lane that isn't guarded by a walnut, hopefully by then you'll have, like, 3 pea shooters set up, so it'll be fine. It'll die off anyway. And if a Buckethead appears, well, I hope the cooldown doesn't have much time left, because you're going to need to put one down. So yeah, walnut, overall, very good plant. Potato Mine. I don't really know what the intended use of Potato Mine is, because I have a feeling that the stall strategy, where you put it down at the very end of the lane the first zombie appears, while you build up your sunflower farm, I don't know if that's intended, but we don't care about what's intended for this tier list. Potato Mine is unquestionably good. Actually, that being said, it is questionably good, because, I mean, when it's the only thing you have at the start, it's fine, but later on, there are other plants that do stall, and Potato Mine is not at all useful in nighttime, because you can just use puff shrooms for that. Because, like, in Pool, you unlock Squash, and Squash is another really good stall plant, so I usually end up bringing one or the other, though I make sure to at least bring a stall plant. That said, like, considering that stall plants aren't really needed on nighttime levels, they're still needed for the majority of the levels, because the majority of the game is day, but, you know, you don't really need stall plants for nighttime levels, and, you know, Potato Mine itself, I can usually swap out for Squash, and I think Squash has some other uses on top, because, like, Potato Mine, it takes so long to come out of its hole, that it's not really a plant you can place in reaction for something. You have to prepare ahead of time, and most of the time, anytime I try putting a potato mine down that isn't trying to stall zombies at the beginning of the game, the zombies never reach it because I'm able to build up the shooters good enough to stop them. So, honestly, thinking of it, I think bottom of B is fine. Like, I always bring potato mine on the early day levels because then I can stall the zombies. And sometimes I bring it over squash just because I'm feeling spicy that day. I don't know the exact reason why, but I think overall it is bottom of B. I may even move it down to C if I decide that squash is overall useful, but you know. We'll have to... Some of these rankings I'll definitely have to rethink as we go. Snow Pea. Its freezing effect is really good, but it only attacks the zombie in front, and I usually just never bring this one. I don't know. It's... From what I remember, it's a lot of extra sun, too. It's like almost 200, yet it's the same fire rate as Pea Shooter. Yet the way it's better than Pea Shooter is that it slows down the zombie, and that way, both it and maybe a second Pea Shooter joining it have more time to shoot down a defensive zombie. So, like, it is great when used against bucket heads, which I think are introduced around the same time you get it. But that said, like, I don't know, a lot of these plants I use in the level immediately after you unlock them, because I just unlocked them, I might as well try them. And then I just kind of forget about them, and Snow Pea is one of them. I think I'll definitely leave it in C. I just think its sun cost is so high for the small, for the small benefit of the zombie in front of the pack is slowed. Like, ooh, that's awesome. I guess if your walnut is still on cooldown, you can plop a Snow Pea to make, to stop a bucket head. And then maybe put up sorry, stumbled my words there. Put up a potato mine in front of them. Put up a potato mine. That's quite a tongue twister. Try saying that 5 times fast. But yeah, it's just not something I bring very often. I think the other 2 plants that freeze zombies do it better, and even then, well, we'll get to those plants. But yeah, I'm just gonna stick Snow Pea there for now. I think it's just expensive. That's my main problem with it. It's too expensive, too much sun. If it was like 125, I'd understand. Chomper! I also don't really bring this one. Outside of the level it's introduced, like in my most recent playthrough of Adventure 1, I didn't use them at all, like ever. But that said, they're not a bad plant. They're kind of like Potato Mine and Squash in that they instant kill the first zombie of the pack no matter how strong they are, which is really good, which is a really good effect. In exchange, though, while these 2 disappear afterwards and you have to place down another one, plus these 2 have a really long cooldown, this guy does not. He has a short cooldown after being placed, and though he takes a while to chew and swallow, will eventually be able to attack again. But he has a high sun cost of 150, which makes him not a great plant for the start of the game. So yeah, definitely not a great stalling zombie plant. But he's not supposed to be one, you know. It's just supposed to be like, put it behind a walnut to bite the first zombie that comes. Even then, though, like, with how random the zombies are, and how long it takes for them to chew and swallow the zombie, it's just... I don't know. I think it is also C tier. And hey, its name starts with C, so that makes sense. I know Snow Pea's name starts with S, but we're not doing the alphabetized tier list or whatever. Sorting the plants in alphabetical order. Yeah, I just don't ever think to bring this one, despite how alright its effects are, or despite how alright it is overall. Now, Repeater, like I said before when talking about Pea Shooter, this is my go-to shooter weapon. Like, it's always the one I bring, especially in the latter half of Adventure 1, and especially later on in basically everything else, when I'm given the option to bring it. I always bring Repeater. Repeater is definitely top of A, might even be S, depending on what I decide. Now, it does take a long time to set them up. They're 200 sun apiece, and it takes a while to get to that point where you can easily place them down. But, like, once you do get them set up, then you'll have peas flying all over the place. It's great. And I also appreciate the little, like, change in, I appreciate a little story of the development of Repeater, where the designers were, or I guess the designer, there was just one, was trying to make it. He wanted the Repeater to do double the damage of Pea Shooter, but he was trying to find a way to visually represent that, and ultimately landed on the very clever solution of just the plant shoots 2 peas at a time. And I think that was a very, very smart solution. Yeah, anyway, Repeater's awesome. I don't really think I need to say any more. A lot of the plants in this game, a lot of the shooters, are just variations of the basic pea shooter. There are no variations of the Repeater, which I find very interesting, because you get the Repeater pretty early in the game, and yet there's no other plant quite like Repeater. It's interesting. I wonder why that is. Maybe they thought having too many plants like Repeater would be too powerful. Well, PvZ is already really easy, so PvZ 1 anyway is already easy. By the way, I want to add something about Snow Pea. Snow Pea has another downside that you might not realize at first, because if you bring Torchwood, Snow Pea's peas melt and they no longer freeze the zombies if they're behind the Torchwood. So you always have to make sure to put them in front of the Torchwood. Now, if you think to do that, it's fine, but you know, it's yet another downside that makes me not really want to bring them, because, like, at least not make me not want to bring them over other plants that freeze things, but we'll get to those. Speaking of getting to those, let's get to the Puff Shroom. Okay, this is undeniably a great plant. At least for nighttime. For the nighttime worlds, you can place mushrooms in any world. So when I'm talking about, like, a mushroom plant, I will consider all worlds of the game just because you can put them in any world. It's just that during the day, you have to wake them up with Coffee Bean first. Which means that in Adventure 1, mushrooms are only slightly useful, but beyond that point, once you have Coffee Bean unlocked, for everything else after that point, they become a very viable choice. At least a few of them become a viable choice. For nighttime levels, Puff Shroom is like a must-have. And for that reason, and since the nighttime worlds do take up a good chunk of the game, I will definitely give Puff Shroom at least bottom of A. Like, Puff Shrooms are easily a must-have. They are completely free to place. You can just put one down, one after another. All you have to worry... Your only limitation is the cooldown. There is no reason not to bring these. No reason not to fill the entire lawn with them. Because, you know, they're surprisingly effective. Even though they're just a pea shooter with extremely nerfed range in exchange for being free. I mean, because they're free and they have a short cooldown, you could just place down so many that even tanky zombies are unable to do anything. People have beaten the entire nighttime worlds with just Puff Shroom. So this is a powerful frickin' plant, and it outright replaces the need for stall plants like Potato Mine or Squash, because, like, why do you need a stall plant when you could just put up a bunch of Puff Shrooms instead? I remember when I was playing this game for the first time on stream, and I had people in my chat going, use Puff Shroom, use Puff Shroom. At first I was like, why? They're so weak, but I understand now. I mean, I didn't understand the value that a free plant provided back then. Yeah, these are definitely, like, the best nighttime plant, I would say. In fact, I might just... I'm putting them above Cherry Bomb, because, like, the fact remains that during the day, you don't need Puff Shrooms, and waking up a Puff Shroom costs 50 sun, so they become no longer free. They're only free at nighttime, and nighttime does not make up a majority of the game, so, you know. I only bring them for nighttime, but I bring them in every nighttime level because there is no reason not to, so, like, every other nighttime plant is going below Puff Shroom. That is for sure. And that starts with Sunshroom. Alright, so Sunshroom... Like I said before, Sunshroom does... I'm gonna move it here as like a default tier. Sunshroom does kind of replace Sunflowers in the nighttime levels just because Sunflowers are inefficient. You still have to use Sunflowers on the first night stage, but after that you unlock Sunshroom and then you can use them wherever you want. Let me take a drink real quick. That said, you know, to reiterate, nighttime is not the majority of the game. So you will be using Sunflowers more on the whole. That said, though, I do always bring Sunshroom whenever it's nighttime, because they are more efficient, technically. They get you started faster, because if you bring Sunflowers, you can make it work, Sunflowers in nighttime stages, but the early game just goes so slow with them, and sometimes if RNG decides to screw you over, then you can't really do anything about it. There's some levels in Fog as well, where the powerful zombie of that level comes surprisingly early. Like the level that introduces pogo zombies. There's a pogo zombie surprisingly early, and I know that if I was using sunflowers in that level, I would have been completely unprepared. Like, you can still make it work, but the sunshrooms are undeniably more efficient at night, so I think I do have to give them, like, B. I mean, I'm giving them a low ranking just because, personally, I don't like them. They take forever to grow, and before they grow, they're only giving 15 sun. It's so annoying, and the time it takes for them to grow is randomized, too. It's not always the same. It's, like, generally around 2-3 minutes it takes for them to grow, with the slight random offset applied. Yeah, they're just freaking annoying. But I guess it's not really them that's the problem. It's nighttime that's the problem. My problem with Sunshroom is not actually Sunshroom itself, it's nighttime, so yeah. But even then, like, they don't do the killing of the zombies like Puffshroom does, they just give you sun. You could theoretically win every single nighttime stage with only Puffshroom and nothing else, so yeah, B tier it is, alright. I will not be taking questions on this matter. Fume Shroom! The main thing this game tells you Fume Shroom can do is shoot through screen doors, which is useful to know when the screen door zombie appears like 2 levels later, but what it doesn't tell you is that it does shoot all zombies in a line, does piercing damage to everyone in a line, and that is a decently useful effect. However, I just don't... I don't know, I never end up bringing these guys that often. Maybe I should do it more. I mean, I remember getting good use out of them in the past. I guess a lot of my opinions are coming from my most recent playthrough and how often I brought certain plants then, but yeah, I definitely got some use out of them in the past, and their ability to pierce zombies does make them a decent choice. That said, I might put them, like, here. I don't know. Like, they're not as important as Sunshrooms, and they're only really helpful in nighttime stages, especially in Adventure 1. And otherwise, you have to wake them up with Coffee Bean. Though they're not that expensive even with Coffee Bean, so... yeah, I think that spot's alright for them. I'd probably bring them over Pea Shooter just because they have that advantage. You know, in any stage outside of Adventure 1, I would probably bring them over Pea Shooter, because they do have that... they do have that piercing damage trait to them that makes them useful. And they are a direct counter to a certain zombie type, so if screen door zombies are coming in, of course I'm bringing this instead of Pea Shooter, so yeah. And that's the thing, these plants' usefulness are definitely dependent on what zombie types are in that level, but I'll be factoring in as like a generalized look over the game. Whenever there's a plant whose only purpose is to counter a specific zombie type, I'll be judging them based on how often that zombie type appears, in general. So yeah, this is somewhat of a challenging ranking to make objective, but I'm not trying to make this objective, this is just my opinion on where I think each plant stands. Gravebuster, so this here's our first situational plant, and that is, it is only good in night, in pool, or in fog, more accurately. In fog, it is terrible, because night is the only world where there are graves. Actually, it is not a mushroom plant, you don't have to wake it up, so, if it's day, so it's... well, still, it's only good in night, because that's the only world where graves exist. So, considering this, we will, rank this guy based on how often I would bring him in World 2, in the night levels. And considering that, I actually do bring him pretty often within World 2, because, like, getting those graves out of there is really nice, and as you progress in World 2, the graves get more and more common. There's more of them, and they're closer to the end of the lawn. And, you know, in the final wave, ambush zombies come out of the graves. Every single grave that's still standing. So this is the only time where you get to decide where the ambush zombies spawn. You get to actually, like, push back against the ambush zombies before they spawn. And I think that's a really cool trait of the Gravebuster, and so I do find myself bringing it very often in the nighttime levels, even in Adventure 2, even in any minigame or whatever that has them. Like, this is a good plan, I'd say, for the world it's in. Obviously, it's useless everywhere else, but yeah, the game even grays it out in the menu. Like, don't bring this one. It's not worth it. Oh, we're about to have the main theme of Elden Ring playing. That's okay. Hypno Shroom! I feel like I might underuse this one, because, like, again, aside from the first level after it's introduced, I rarely ever bring it. But, I mean, it's a mushroom plant, so I only think about it at night, in the night levels. This is a little loud. Let's move on. There we go, that's better. I only think about it in the nighttime levels, and even then I don't really think about it. Because Hypno Shroom is kind of like a defensive plant. It's kind of like a weird cross between... Or no, it just kind of is a variation of Chomper, Squash, Potato Mine, that type of thing. Where the zombie in front gets hypnotized, it turns around, they start to eat their fellow zombies. Now, I don't know if there's any change in the zombie's health, like the zombie has more health when it's on your side. I haven't used it enough to really detect that, but if I had to guess, this thing is only useful when there's a tanky zombie in the front of a pack that doesn't have any other tanky zombies in it. So if, like, you know, the game actually, like, presents it as a counter to the football zombie, and as a counter to the football zombie, it's great, but the football zombie doesn't appear very often, and whenever it does, it's usually not in a nighttime world, so you can't even use this in Adventure 1 anyway, and in most of those other cases, you can use Walnut or some other type of defensive plant, like Squash instead, which Squash can be used in any world of your choosing, and I think Hypno Shroom even costs more. It does have the interesting effect of making the zombies go on your side, so if you like to fight off football zombies and other tanky boys with some pizzazz, then go ahead, I guess, but... yeah, I think this is another C-tier one. I might even just... yeah, I'll put it bottom of C, because I could see myself using Snow Pea over, like, either of these, so that's where it's gonna go for me. Scaredy Shroom. I distinctly remember when I was streaming my first playthrough of this game that the people in my chat who had played the game and were giving me tips were kind of not thrilled on Scaredy Shroom. Like, none of them seemed to like them, but after playing the game more, I really don't understand that. Scaredy Shroom is really good. Like, really good. I think I might even give it bottom of A. Or no, we were considering you based on, you know, the world you're in. Yeah, I'm gonna put it bottom of A. It is one of my favorite mushroom plants to bring to the nighttime stages because it is effectively just a pea shooter that only costs 25 sun. It's a fourth of the price of a normal pea shooter. That is powerful, and this assumes you're using the strategy where you put the sunflowers in the middle of the lawn and you put your attacking plants at the back of the lawn, because your attacking plants are the most important ones. They're the ones that actually win the level for you, whereas your sunflowers just generate the means of placing those plants. But once they're placed, I mean, they have to be protected, and so it's best to keep them as far away from the zombies as possible. And that goes for these guys, honestly. This guy, I wonder if that was an intended strategy by the developers, and they were putting this guy in the game to kind of encourage you to do that, because when you put Scaredy Shrooms all at the back of the lawn, their downside that they, when a zombie gets close, they hide in the ground and stop shooting, that downside almost never comes up. Only in Fog, on occasion, there are some zombie types that can easily get past all your plants, like in an instant. But only there does it present any issues, and even then, those zombies only appear during like the mid-game when you've hopefully set up the necessary defenses for them. Overall, the Scaredy Shrooms make a great substitute plant while you're trying to work on getting enough sun for your repeaters, and while you're trying to, you know, get everything else set up. So, usually, my formula in a nighttime level is start the game, put up sun shrooms, spam puff shrooms on the right side of the lawn, and then once I build up enough sun and sun shrooms, I put some Scaredy Shrooms in the back wherever they're needed, and then I line the whole back with Scaredy Shrooms, and they're great, because you can set them up really quickly and control every single lane in a much less time than it would take if you were, say, just bringing sun shrooms everything else and hoping that you'll be able to set up normal pea shooters in time. Because, yeah, setting up a bunch of normal pea shooters in the back takes literally 4 times as long, so probably more than that, actually, since the sun shrooms only give 15 at first. But yeah, scaredy shrooms are really good. Of course, puff shrooms are more powerful on the whole. I would absolutely agree with that. Honestly, yeah, we're gonna move them up. Scaredy shrooms, I think, are definitely one of the better nighttime plants. Let me take a drink real quick before we move on. I guess final note is, like, maybe those people who didn't like Scaredy Shroom in my chat, I can't even remember if that was the case, but I feel like I remember there were a lot of people denouncing Scaredy Shroom. They were probably putting sunflowers in back, putting Scaredy Shroom in the middle, and I did that too, and they didn't end up, working perfectly, because as soon as a zombie got close, as soon as tanky zombies appeared and they got close, basically all my shooters were shut down. But if you don't do that, if you put them all in the back, where they're safest, that'll never come up, so yeah. Make sure to do that, and you will get so much use out of Scaredy Shrooms. They're really good. Of course, in, outside of Adventure 1, they stop being as useful, or, no. Of course, in daytime, they're never that useful, even outside of Adventure 1. That's what I meant to say, because you need to spend an extra 50 sun to wake them up, but in nighttime, they are really good, so. Ice Shroom. I literally never used this one, and that's a shame because I don't think it's bad. In fact, I might leave it where it is right now, bottom of B, because, like, this freezes every zombie. Unlike Snow Pea, which only freezes the zombie in front of a particular pack in the lane it's in, this you put down and it will freeze every zombie currently on screen, and that is undeniably helpful. It's just that I criminally underuse this one. I think I'm going to leave it at bottom of B, because, it's kind of in a middle tier. I don't use it enough to have a more developed opinion on it. So, I think where it is, it's fine. Doom Shroom! This I use mostly for the fun of destroying the final wave in the night worlds, because, in night, you plant this in the middle, in the third lane. When the final wave appears, you wait a while for every zombie to appear on screen first. Then you put this thing down, and the whole level is just won in an instant. Otherwise, I think it's a little more expensive than Cherry Bomb, with a similarly long cooldown, and then it has the small downside that, it leaves a crater, and you can't plant anything there for a while. Otherwise, I mean, the fact that it basically reaches across the entirety of the 5 lanes in the non-pool worlds, day, night, and roof, like, that pretty good. I wouldn't say it's better than Cherry Bomb, just because, again, it's a nighttime plant. You can't really, bring it in anywhere else. Actually, no. This is one of the best nighttime plants to bring into day worlds once you have Coffee Bean. In Adventure 1, of course, you can only use it at night until, like, the very final few roof levels. The very final few, that's like... Oh yeah, the last 4 roof levels you can only use Doom Shroom in, but in Adventure 1. But everywhere else, once you have beaten the first adventure, it's decent. I will definitely give it A tier, I think. You know what, yeah, let's move it up above there. It good plant. It fun plant. I think I tend to use Cherry Bomb more just on the basis of it doesn't cause the crater, it doesn't make a space unplantable for a while, compared to Doom Shroom, which does, but, yeah, I'm out of thoughts. Doom Shroom good, that's all I'll say. And, like, blowing up the last wave with a single Doom Shroom is so fun, I cannot not rank this thing highly, so there you go. I still think Scaredy Shrooms are a little more useful in the whole, just because, shooter plants are generally better than explosive plants. It's because explosive plants have an excruciatingly long cooldown. Right, Lily Pad will be interesting. This is only usable in 2 worlds, and within those 2 worlds, I mean, you have to bring it. You just have to. You cannot do anything without this. Zombies will attack the water, you need plants in the water, and lily pads enable you to plant stuff in the water. There's, 1, 2 plants that can be put in the water other than the lily pad? And are they gonna do a good job at stopping them? One of them's a nighttime plant, and we'll get to them shortly. And the other one has an excruciatingly long cooldown and will not help you. So yeah, lily pads, you need these things. They even, like, add extra defense. Every plant in the pool takes extra amount of time to die because the zombies have to eat through the lily pad as well. So, yeah, it's, you know, within the world it's in, within the world you need to use it, you need to use it. There's just nothing else. You can't play the game without it. It's the same way as I view the sunflowers. Alright, this big boy, Squash. Easily my favorite named plant in the game, because my god, that is brilliant. Squash, and it squashes the zombies. I'd say this is overall better than Potato Mine, but I don't think I would give it A. It's a great stall plant. Because you can easily... It's only 25 extra sun. Still has a really long cooldown. But, you know, it's only 25 extra sun, and it doesn't have to take all that time to prepare. Plus, I'm pretty sure Potato Mine can only kill one zombie at a time, and if a standard zombie happens to be walking in front of a tanky zombie, Potato Mine's gonna only blow up the standard zombie, whereas Squash will knock both of them out. Squash is able to kill a bunch of zombies in a tiny area where it lands. Sometimes Squash can, on occasion, aim the wrong way, and, you know, I don't ever rely on Squash to get anywhere, but Squash is a great plant to place down if one lane is getting a little crazy. If there's, like, a football zombie and a bucket head, or a Zomboni coming in on this one, and I don't have the jalapeno prepared, for example, I'll usually just plop down a Squash there and let it take care of it, and it instant kills them, so yeah. Great plant. Do I want B or A? Not really sure. I mean, I should give it A. I will give it A. You know what? We'll put it up near Walnut. I mean, I don't bring it that often, but usually the reason why I don't bring Squash is because I'm all out of plant slots, so, you know, it's not exactly... If I had the plant slots for it, the plant slots? The plant slots. If I had the room for it in my plant slots... I bring it probably every level beyond Pool of Adventure 1. So, yeah. Potato Mines really do stop being useful, like, a good chunk of the way through the game. In fact, you know what? You go down there. You might even be demoted later on. I don't know if I'm ever going to put anything in D tier. Actually, yeah, I will. 3-peater. It's fun, but I just don't think it's worth the sun cost. I feel like... setting up 2 rows of sunflowers in the middle of Pool, which is where you unlock this thing, so it's where I use it the most. That usually gives enough for a row of repeaters, which I think 3-peater, it blasts down 3 different lanes. The lane right in front of it, the lane above it, and the lane below. And that's awesome that one plant can fight off 3 lanes, but it costs 325 sun to place, and... it only shoots at the same rate as a standard pea shooter, I'm pretty sure. It doesn't have the double attack that the repeaters do, which is probably good. This would be a little overpowered otherwise, but... I mean... it's... fine. I don't know. I also kinda... I never really think to bring this one. I think I do bring it in Adventure 2 whenever I want to make a... whenever I'm fighting one of the... when I'm playing one of the longer levels in, like, Pool, and I want to just build up a huge defense where there's so many peas flying through the air, then, yeah, I'll bring Repeater and 3-peater and try to set them all up, and it's crazy. It's crazy chaos, and I absolutely love it. I think in Adventure 1, it's definitely not that useful, and Adventure 1 is what I have played most recently, so forgive me if Adventure 1 bias is coming in. I do think I got more use out of it in Adventure 2, but... and considering that, I might put it above Pea Shooter, but, you know, it's extremely high price, meaning it takes forever to set up, and, you know... I usually find it easier to just put a single repeater in every lane. So, and it's also even worse at nighttime where your sun production is already gimped because the sun doesn't exist. Yeah, I think that's a fine spot for 3-peater. It's fun when you get to use it, but that's about it, really. I don't have anything more to add to that. I feel like that's something I say a lot. It's fun, but that's about it, really. I have no extra thoughts. How many more times am I going to say that throughout the rest of this video? Took a drink there, forgot to warn you about it, so there's just a moment of awkward silence. Sorry about that. Tangle Kelp, sucks. I'm sorry, this is just a bad plant. Or, well, you know, I guess it's not the most useless, but I never bring this, because you don't ever need it. Its main purpose... What the hell? Its main purpose, from what I can tell, is to be a stall plant for the pool. Which, cool, I mean, cool, pool. Like, it's a stall plant that you're supposed to put in the pool, like... You put squash on the dry land or potato mine on the dry land. Bringing 2 of these could be strong. I should try that more, but, you know, that's 2 plant slots taken up when I could put stuff like this, or this. Whoops, that's not what I meant. I might move this up to S eventually, just because, like, I use this all the time, but still. Anyway, you use squash and potato mine on dry land, you use this in the pool. But the thing is, zombies can't attack the pool for the first, like, 5 waves, or however long it truly is. I don't really know how long it is before the zombies can attack the pool, but it's a while. It's enough time for you to get a good sunflower farm set up, and then you just have shooters over the pool anyway, so there's no reason to use Tangle Kelp anymore. I mean, the best thing these things can do is stop... I think they stop Dolphin Rider zombies. Do they? Hold on, let me... Okay, I don't know how I'm gonna... I don't know how I'm gonna make this visible. Let me look something up real quick. Okay, I just looked it up on the PvZ wiki. I'm gonna have this in second tab. There we go. Okay, yeah. Don't need to crowd the screen with it. I'll have the Plants vs. Zombies wiki open so I can correct myself on any information I might be screwing up if I need to remember something. Yes, indeed, the Tangle Kelp can stop Dolphin Rider zombies. But that's about its best strength, and honestly... That's not a very big deal. Unless you're doing, like, a challenge run where you're limiting your placement of plants. If a Dolphin Rider zombie comes in, take a lily pad, put it down in its path, preferably before it gets too far through the water. It'll jump over, remove the lily pad, and now it's just a normal zombie. So, you know, you don't need the Tangle Kelp to stop them. Again, I'm not sure the developers anticipated people, like, throwing a sunflower in the way of a pole vaulter zombie to stop them, but you can do it, so it's usually a great idea. Just throw a plant down, then dig it up once the zombie jumps over it. And so for that reason, you don't need Tangle Kelp. You just never do. Not even on Fog, which takes a lot longer to set up. And even if Tangle Kelp was useful on Fog, there should have been another plant to replace it. Emphasis on should have been. That would have been more helpful. I guess that gives a little edge to Tangle Kelp, but even then, I don't know. And it just kills like 1 zombie, doesn't it? It's just a single freaking zombie. Let me see. Its use plants destroys the first waterborne zombie upon contact. So it doesn't explode, can't kill any other zombies like the squash can. So yeah, this is just... bad plant. You don't need it. By the time it would be useful, you should have shooters set up on the pool. I'm just saying. If you don't, you should have the sun to place one on the pool. Alright. I don't mean to sound like, you know... If you actually found use out of this plant, you suck at the game. No, I'm not saying that. If you found this plant useful, then awesome. Feel free to let me know what you think of my rankings in the comments if you watch this. This will be on OmenC too, so there's a good chance you won't. Anyway, Jalapeno. So this, it's an explosive plant, but unlike the other 2 which explode in a radius, this explodes down an entire lane, but does not affect any adjacent lane. That said, this is still really good. I mean, it can wipe out a whole lane in an instant. That is effective, and it is also a direct counter to the Zomboni. And thankfully, most of the early plants in the game are not just the direct counter to this one zombie type and nothing else type of plants, which is good. Anyway, what else is there to say about Jalapeno? Yeah. It stops the Zomboni, it prevents the bobsled team from spawning, which is always good. If there's like... if the game goes crazy and spawns like a football zombie and a bucket head on the same lane, you can just plop this down to say, screw that. Yeah, it's useful, but it's definitely not something I bring as much. I think top of B is a good spot for it, because like, while I can definitely see good uses for it, I either never think to bring it, or... it's usually not that big a deal, and my other plants can take care of it just fine. Even Cherry Bomb could take care of it just fine. Like, Cherry Bomb can wipe out a whole lane of zombies. while also exploding other lanes of zombies. And so I think that area of effect is definitely stronger, but it's not like Jalapeno's horrible. And it does have that important zombie counter. That said, Zombonis aren't that common. So maybe this should... Yeah, I think that's a good spot for it. You know, it's a fine plant. I can see where it would be useful, but I do think that Cherry Bomb absolutely beats it in terms of just, you know, how much you can accomplish with one explosive plant. That said, you know, bring both Cherry Bomb and Jalapeno, and you can have 2 explosions at once, and that's kind of fun. Otherwise, you know, if I had to choose between one or the other, Cherry Bomb almost every time. Unless there's Zombonis in the level, then I'll bring Jalapeno. But, you know, I can only rank a plant highly so much when its main purpose is to counter one zombie type, which will be very important coming soon. Spikeweed. I never think to bring this one, but that said, it is a good plant. I will not give it C. It is good. This is another counter to Zombonis, actually. You pop their tires, which causes them to explode instantly. On top of this, while tanky zombies like the Conehead and Buckethead still die very slowly to it, Screen Door zombies actually... because their main defense is on their front, but they're being attacked from underneath, they still take full damage from Spikeweed, or that is, Spikeweed takes the same amount of time to kill them as it would a standard zombie, so it's a bit of a counter to that. That said, do any of you remember seeing Screen Door zombies aside from, like, the first level? Because I don't. Also, on Roof, these guys are useless, so that's like a whole world you can't use them on. Because... Am I right? Because, like, Spikeweed, normally zombies just walk over them, they pay them no mind. But Spikeweed in a pot, wouldn't zombies have to eat the pot, which would then remove the Spikeweed? I don't know, maybe I haven't. Wiki. Wiki, help me. Spikeweed. Weed. Oh, for fuck's sake, it's giving me the full... Spikeweed from the first game, thank you. Ah, yes, it can also pop the catapult zombie. So that appears in Roof, so... Wait a second. Yeah, only planted... Cannot be planted in flower pots. Okay, so yeah, that's a big knock against these guys. There's one world of the game where you can't use them, and it can stop catapult zombies, but in Adventure 1 and 2, catapult zombies only appear in Roof, so doesn't exist. In Survival... that does work, but otherwise, yeah. Just because, I mean, like... I really only use these guys for just bonus damage, so I think I'll give them C tier. I think that's a good spot for them. I really only place these guys if I'm like, sure, I'll bring them along for some bonus damage. Why not? Because, like, if a Zomboni's there, I'd rather take it out with a Jalapeno. I find that more fun. It said, I guess bringing both Jalapeno and Spikeweed is good for a Zomboni level, because Zombonis... There's nothing to stop Zombonis from appearing all the time, which, you know, when they're appearing very frequently, you do kind of need Spikeweed for that. Unless you're trusting your shooters to take care of it, which is entirely fair. Torchwood! This plant does nothing on its own, but it lights up the peas of pea shooters to turn them into fireballs, which not only does extra damage to zombies, it deals splash damage, overall increasing the damage across the entire freaking map. And that's awesome. Honestly, I'm gonna give these guys A. You know, I usually don't have much room for them, but in Adventure 2, I bring these guys all the time. So yeah, I'll definitely give them a boost. Not above Cherry Bomb, though. Sorry. You're good, but you're not that good. I think this is definitely a great place for them, because, like, if you can get a full column of them set up, the carnage that happens after that is so amazing to watch. Just every zombie lights up all at once. Basically, every zombie on the lawn is lighting up in damage. It's so cool. And, it definitely it synergizes well with plants like 3-Peter. Usually when I'm doing a Torchwood strategy, I usually bring 3-Peter just because I feel like it could help. Especially, like, a full column of 3-Peters. That is pretty strong, because that's like a ton of peas going into a ton of lanes all at once, so maybe I should bump up 3-Peter a little bit. Yeah, that's good enough. One slot over, that's good enough. I mean, you know, the B tier plants aren't bad plants by any means, even though B stands for bad. That's not in this case. Everything up here is a good plant, one that I would consider bringing, and that is, so far, the majority of the plants I've talked about, so that's a good sign on how the plants were designed in this game. Alright, moving on to Tall Nut. Tall Nut is just a walnut. It's way more expensive, except I think it has more health, and pole vaulters and dolphin riders cannot get over them, which is fantastic. Because, you know, dolphin rider zombies are such a big deal in Pool. That said, you don't unlock it until the end of Pool, but you can make do without them for a while. And, like, once you get these set up, your whole lawn feels so much more secure. I guess it's just because they're so much taller. So much taller than the standard walnut that you really do make a wall of the tall nuts, and it's really cool. I also like how they're a lot angrier than the walnut. It's adorable. Their high price does make them a little bit worse than a walnut, but I'd still rank these guys very high. You know, if I see pole vaulters or dolphin riders, I'm bringing tall nuts. Or even football zombies, because I think tall nuts have more health. Hold on, let me double check that with the wiki. Good thing I have the wiki up right here. Tall nut, PVZ. Identical recharge, standard walnut, twice as much health. Yes, okay, so yeah. If there's a lot of really defensive zombies, then, hello, who's messaging me on Discord? 1 second. Ah, I see. Someone is. I'm just gonna not do that for... Sorry, I'll respond to you in a bit. Anyway. Yeah, tall nuts, with super tanky zombies, tall nuts are great. Otherwise, walnuts do the job just fine. I would definitely rank them above. But that said, you know, I think that's a good spot for them. They're useful. They counter 2 very dangerous zombie types, and otherwise, they're way tankier than a standard walnut, so why wouldn't you bring them? Oh. You could have been so good. But no. Sea Shroom gets my vote for worst plant in the game. This one is dreadful. It's introduced at the start of Fog, so you'd think you'd need to use it. You don't. For the same reasons as Tangle Kelp, zombies can't attack the pool for the first 5 waves, and it's arguably even easier to set up shooters on the pool in Fog because you have Scaredy Shrooms, which cost 1/4 the cost of pea shooters, and they do the job just fine, so yeah. You will never need Sea Shrooms. On top of this, their recharge time is so slow. Back when I was streaming the game and I was actually trying to use them, I couldn't use them effectively because they recharge so slowly. And you know, once I realized, hey, Scaredy Shrooms are actually really good if you put them in the back, then why would I ever need to think about these guys ever again? Tangle Kelp I still used on occasion for fun. So they at least have the advantage of stopping the Dolphin Rider zombies. Sea Shroom can't even do that. It's just terrible plant. 0 out of 10. And they set the tone quite well for the fog plants because most of these aren't very good. Okay, Plantern. Since this is a plant whose effect is only good in the world it's in, we're going to... Same with this, actually. But, you know, even considering that Sea Shroom is only good in the world it's in, then, it's just a bad plant. Never bring it. Anyway, for this one, this is okay. C tier's definitely a good spot for it. I'd rather bring... Yeah, there's a good spot for it. It clears out the fog, but you have to... If you want to actually, like, keep the fog cleared, you have to keep them there. Which means, you know, keeping them protected from zombies, and that's not always the easiest thing to do. So, yeah, what else can I even say about them? I mean, you could put up a walnut in front of them, but because the fog is all on the right side of the lawn, you have to put them up on the right side of the lawn, which means you have to put them up in the zombie's face, and because they're not armored or defensive in any way, they're gonna be the first things to be eaten. So, I guess you really just have to throw them out for a temporary bit of information, and like, considering that, I guess they're fine, but they also have such a long cooldown, and I think they cost a decent amount of sun, too. Or maybe it's just 50, I can't remember. I think it is 50, but still, they have a really long cooldown. They're gonna be one of the first plants to go as soon as things get rough out on the battlefield. Yeah, I don't usually bring these. There is another plant that can clear the fog, and I think does it much better, and we're going to talk about them very soon. But first, the cactus. Just why? Just why? So the cactus... Thank you, tier maker. Jesus. So the cactus is just a pea shooter. Literally just a reskinned pea shooter. Except it shoots cactus spikes, which are not affected by Torchwood. So that's a great start. Great. I was trying to say a great sign and great start at the same time, and that was the result. Great start. But the only thing this plant does differently, if a balloon zombie appears, which are introduced alongside them, they will stretch up out of the ground to shoot them down, and then the balloon zombie becomes a normal zombie. Sure, so they're just a direct counter for one zombie type. They are useful nowhere else, and they cost 25 extra sun than a normal pea shooter. Just no. And also, not to mention, the very next plant you unlock is just a better counter to balloon zombies. Cactus just sucks. Again, it's only good in, like, the conveyor belt levels, the dash 10 level. I think the 4-10, fog level 10, whatever you want to call it. Cacti are one of the main plants given to you. So, you know, obviously they're useful there because you have nothing else. But in a choose your seeds level, you could choose literally every other shooter and it would be better than cactus. So, yeah, just... They really needed to give cactus more of a use. Like, for example, being able to stretch themselves up on the roof so they can get around the angle problem that roof usually has. Why didn't they think of that? I don't know. Blover. This is the aforementioned better fog clearer and better counter to balloon zombies, which puts them above both of these plants right away. You put this down, I think it costs 100 sun, you put it down, it clears the fog, and any balloon zombies that are on screen are instant killed. They are blown to the right, you never hear from them again. Objectively better than cactus, and I personally think it's better than Plantern, though you could make a strong argument in favor of Plantern. With that being said, of course, this plant, though it can be used everywhere, if balloon zombies can appear everywhere outside of the adventure. So... You know, in that case, you can use this plant everywhere. It's not like it's only good in fog. But aside from that, I mean, if you're not in fog and there's no balloon zombies, you never have to bring it. So leaving it in C tier is okay, I think, for me, because maybe I should move this up. Yeah, there we go. Leaving it in C tier in this spot it's in, I think is okay. Just because, like, you know, if there's no balloon zombies, no reason to ever bring it. In fact, on fog levels that don't have balloon zombies, sometimes I have substituted Plantern as my fog clearing method, but I've always just missed Blover. I love being able to plop down a plant, have all fog cleared for the next, like, 30 seconds. That's great. It's way better than Plantern, if you ask me, because, like, it'll come back, but the fog will come back, but hopefully by the time it's come back, I have enough sun for another Blover if I want. I definitely think there was one PvZ1 mod I saw. One PvZ1 mod, that was strange, where Blover can blow back every single zombie on screen. I wish that was in the base game. I wish the original developers thought of that, because that would make this a much better plant. But as it is, it definitely gets low C tier. It's better than both of these, but not by much. Another one. I'll put it above Cactus, because at least it's interesting, but, like... We're basically, out front, it's a normal pea shooter. Out the back, it's a repeater. So, if you, for example, put this in behind a zombie, like a zombie is moved to the middle, you could plant a split pea behind them to shoot them down quickly. That's, I guess, a space where you can use them. So maybe, like, considering that interesting strategy I just thought up of, maybe I can move them a tier higher. Then again, I don't know. When will you ever run into that situation, aside from a couple times? And even then, if you run into that situation, you can always save the day with the Doom Shroom or Cherry Bomb instead. You don't need this plant. It's just... This plant is meant as a hard counter to the miner zombie, or the digger zombie, whatever you want to call it. It's meant to kill them and no other zombie type. And just like with the cactus, the plant you unlock after that is just an objectively better version of it. So, yeah. once you unlock the next plant, I mean, I never bring Split Pea ever again. It costs 25 extra sun than a normal pea shooter as well, because it does something special. I guess that makes sense, but, like, honestly, if you have a good defense, you should never run into a situation where zombies are, like, super far along and there's a bunch of space down over here. Like, there's always better plants to bring than this, even if that, like, edge case scenario, or whatever it's usually called, happens to you. There are so many better plants to bring to use one of your precious slots on than a Split Pea. So, yeah. Just D tier for that one. Top of D, because at least it's kind of interesting. They tried to do something cool with it. I appreciate the effort, but yeah, it's just not very good. That said, Starfruit is pretty good. This is an interesting plant. It's the only shooter to not shoot straight ahead, but it does shoot backwards, up, down, diagonally up, and diagonally down. And for that, I think it's actually pretty good. It is meant to be a support plant, so you definitely want to put it in addition to other shooters, not replace your entire shooters with it. I tend to get the most use out of these things by, like, putting them either just behind a walnut defense, which I have to spend a long time setting up, so they're more of a mid to late game plant than a useful early game plant. Or sometimes, if I think I have enough sun, I'll swap out sunflowers for them. But yeah, these plants don't really shine until you have a bunch of them down at once. But once you do, I mean, they throw extra projectiles all over the place. It's like having a full column of three-peaters, but it's less expensive because they're only 125 sun a pop. So, yeah, I would probably put these pretty high. I'll put them, yeah, top of B. I'll give them top of B. I do tend to bring these things a lot in the latter half of Adventure 1, and a lot in, like, survival levels and things like that, where, you know, there's a huge, I know I'm going to be facing a huge horde of zombies, because, like, this really does throw the extra damage around, and sometimes can even, like, save you. If there's, a conehead that's getting through a lane down below and is barely damaged, sometimes a starfruit from a lane above, or sometimes like 4 starfruits from all the lanes above, can take it out for you because they shoot directly down. So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool plant, and I think it definitely adds a lot of strategy. It's also an effective counter to miner zombies because it shoots behind itself. This one is technically better at killing miner zombies, but like, you can just use this. You can just use this. It's not that bad. Miner zombies are so slow, and usually the plants they kill are easily replaceable, so at least by the time they start appearing. So yeah, just use this instead. Split Pea are good for 1 level, and then that's it. Pumpkin. I like this defensive plant. It basically lets you put armor around any plant you want, even another defensive plant like the walnut. So, and I think it has the same health as the walnut, at least it feels that way. It does cost a lot, similar to the tall nut. It costs the same amount as the tall nut. But, you know, since you can put this on any plant, I do find myself bringing this quite often. And I think because, like, one of the issues with setting up a line of walnuts is that, like, it's a lot of space being taken up, and there might, depending on where you place all the walnuts, there might not be a lot of room behind them. Ideally, you want to keep them far from where the zombies spawn so that the zombies aren't eating them instantly. But then that might not leave a lot of room for other plants you want to put up, like torchwood or this boy, starfruit. And that's where pumpkins come in to give you that chance, because you can put up the normal plants, then put pumpkins on them, and there you go. You could also have them as, like, secondary defenses if, say, you're on survival mode, ladder zombies come in and build ladders all over your tall nuts. You can put a row of these down as a secondary defense. And then if more ladder zombies come in and build it over those, good luck. I hope the cooldown has run out by then. Yeah, I wouldn't say they're as good as the other two because they only come in very late in Fog, which is towards the end of Adventure 1, and, you know, they are expensive. They have the same long cooldown as the other ones, so getting a bunch of them set up takes a while, but, you know, it's overall a good plan, I'd say. Pumpkin. Magnet Shroom. This is one I really undervalued on my first playthrough, because I didn't know just how many things it could stop. Let me take a drink real quick, and also do something real quick. Okay, sorry for the abrupt pause in the music, or pause and cut. I accidentally stopped playing the music before I paused recording like a nincompoop, and I'm probably not going to edit this far in the video, so yeah. At the time, I thought Magnet Shrooms were just supposed to be a counter to the Pogo Zombies, or something like that. I think they were introduced around the same time as Pogo Zombies. But no, They counter bucket heads, football zombies, they counter ladder zombies, which is really good. Even miner zombies get countered by them. So, like, you may not even need, like, Split Pea necessarily to take out miner zombies quick if you just have Magnet Shroom, which will take their pickaxes. Now, of course, they have the small downside that they are a mushroom, so if you're using them on a day level, they need Coffee Bean. Good thing is, you will get a lot more use out of them on Roof because, like, they're introduced as the last fog plant. And then the world right after that is Roof, which unlocks the Coffee Bean, so, you can get a lot of great use out of them there, and then they continue to be useful in basically every survival level, because, like, all of the tankiest and worst zombies in the game, Pogo, Ladder, Buckethead, Football, are all just effectively neutered by this one plant, by including a bunch of this one plant. Of course, it has that long cooldown time. After it grabs something, it sits there a while holding it, and it takes a long time for it to become available again for another one, but, you know, this is just unquestionably useful plant. I might not give it A, just because on day, it effectively takes up 2 plant slots, which I guess means I could synergize by including other mushrooms in there, like Fume Shroom, but still. Yeah, I'd say it's A, honestly. I'd probably bring this over Starfruit, indeed. Just, I'd probably build a column of these over Starfruit, just because if you can get a column of these set up, the zombies are toast. Like, all of the tankiest zombies in the game, aside from Gargantuars, which are rare, are all basically done with this. And for Gargantuar zombies, well, there's certainly other tools you can use against them. Right there. Alright, moving on to the roof plants. First one, Cabbage Pult. I think this plant throws cabbage at the same rate as a regular pea shooter, but, what am I trying to say here? But it's a lob shot, which means that the angle of the roof level is, you know, is like nothing to it. It's basically your go-to shooter, your attacking plant, for roof. Because, you know, shooters, regular pea shooters and the like, on roof have to be placed on the right half of the space because they're because the angle of the roof preventing them from shooting the zombies from the back areas. So you'll basically be filling your back areas with these things instead, and the shooters will be the things you'll be bravely deploying out in front. They are, I think, slower than pea shooters. That's what I was trying to remember. But, you know, they enable you to attack zombies on roof, so that's fine. And, okay. These plants can be used everywhere. They're not only usable on roof. Considering that, Cabbage Pult's definitely the weakest of the catapults. Definitely the one I would never consider bringing to any other world type. In fact, I think either top of C or bottom of B I'm gonna give it. I think, yeah, we'll go with bottom of B, maybe above Potato Mine, just because in roof, these guys are undoubtedly helpful, and, like, I always fill my back rows with them, but, especially on Adventure 1 when I don't have, Melon Pults unlocked yet. But everywhere else, just put a pea shooter, it's better, it shoots faster, so, yeah. And they cost the same as pea shooters as well, so for that reason, well, you know, Potato Mines are at least useful in more than one world. I do end up using them on roof quite a bit as well. Yeah, C for cabbage, sorry. Sorry, Cabbage Pult. You're great at first, but then, like, and, you know, if you're playing Adventure 2, of course they're great to bring along because you have to have something set up in the early game. You can't just wait for the 300 Sun for Melon Pults, so. But outside of that one world, you don't ever need to bring them. Like, the other 2 catapults have advantages over them, so, yeah. And this list is based on, would I bring this plant in a given Choose Your Seeds level, with the special rule of, if that plant is only usable in that world, how useful is it in that world, and only that world. But since this can be used everywhere, yeah, C tier it is. Next up, Flower Pot. This is a roof-only plant, and of course, yeah, you need this. You can't play roof without it. I guess you technically could get away with not bringing this, unlike with lily pads, where, like, lily pads are the only way you can effectively defend the pool in roof, but, or in pool, I mean, sorry, in those 2 worlds. But on roof, like, For every plant, you need a pot for it. You do start with 3 rows of pots on most roof levels, so you could theoretically not bring it and win with those 3 pots placement. But, I mean, come on. You're not gonna play like that, are you? If you're playing normally, you're gonna be bringing this every level, and because, you know, we're using the whole world-specific plant rule within the world roof, where it's the only place you can use it, it's the one I bring every single level because I kind of have to. Can't really play roof without it, so. Of course, they get S. Since they only have 1 world where they're useful instead of 2, we'll definitely be putting it below lily pads, and they're not as universally useful as sunflowers, obviously, so. Kernel Pulse. They're better than... I'd say they're better than Cabbage Pulse, but bottom of B is definitely where I'd put them, I think. Just because their ability to freeze the main zombie they're shooting at is good, but they only have a chance of doing it. And otherwise, they throw these little corn cobs that I think are less damaging than a Cabbage Pulse. Let me double check. Deal 20 damage at an equal rate to Cabbage Pulse. Okay, lobs at an equal rate. Butter projectiles deals 40 damage and stuns it. Cool. How much damage does Cabbage Pulse do? It does 40. So yeah, it does half the damage of Cabbage Pulse with a chance of doing more with the butter and also freezing the zombie on top of that. So like, I would definitely consider bringing that to levels outside of roof just because it is kind of a unique effect and, you know, might be helpful over time, might cause major slowdown to the zombie side over time. You know, I think within roof, Cabbage Pulse would be higher. Outside of roof, Kernel Pulse higher just because it has an actually unique effect and it's not just, you know, Cabbage Pulse. I've completely forgot what I was trying to say. 1 second. I'm gonna check something else. Oh, okay, so... Okay, but that doesn't matter. I just looked at the wiki page for pea shooter, found out the pea shooters do shoot faster than Cabbage Pulse, but they do deal half the damage as well. They deal 20 damage as opposed to Cabbage Pulse 40. That said, I mean, they shoot at twice the fire rate of Cabbage Pulse, so yeah, they deal the same damage, basically. Yeah, I lost my train of thought for talking about Cabbage Pulse, but like, when I consider other worlds than just roof, Kernel Pulse goes higher. And that's my reasoning, I'm sticking to it. Alright, we're getting into the home stretch here. We're almost done with the roof plants, then the upgrade plants. That'll be fun. Coffee Bean, this is great. I mean, Coffee Bean is just great. I'll put it in A. It is fantastic. It enables you to use Magnet Shroom anywhere. It enables you to use Doom Shroom anywhere. It enables you to... You don't need Puff Shrooms in day levels. It enables you to use Fume Shroom, which will then enable you to use a very powerful beast coming up everywhere. So, like, yeah, you want this. Of course, in Adventure 1, it's not as useful because you only get it in the last world, but once you have it, I find myself bringing this very often. It is an extra plant slot plus some 50 sun, and it's only useful in day because if you're playing night, then you don't need the Coffee Bean to use mushroom plants, but, you know... Considering that day is the majority of the game, that a lot of super useful plants are enabled for use in any world with this thing, yeah, this is getting A. It's either A or top of B. I think I'll give it A, because I like the appearance of A being large and intimidating. Because a lot of the plants are A tier in this game, if you ask me. Garlic, very situational. I consider this a defensive plant in the same vein as walnut and tallnut, with, you know, the effect that instead of the zombies continually trying to eat it, they move to a different lane. So you definitely need to plan your whole plant placement around it, but if you do, I mean, it's good. Pole vaulter zombies can just go right over it, but, you know, if you're careful on what zombie types you bring it against, then that should never happen. Ooh, the Song of Lament. This will be some great vocal backings to my ranking of this guy. I consider Garlic more fun than, like, practical. The best uses I've found for Garlic are, like, designating an entire lane to just sunflowers. Just put a bunch of sunflowers there, or maybe put magnet shrooms there, or some other kind of passive plant I don't want the zombies eating. Then I put garlic in front of them. This could be good to synergize with Plantern, actually. You could put a Plantern, then put a garlic in front of it so the zombies never eat it. Unless, of course, they eat through the garlic, which does happen over time. You gotta watch out for that. Yeah, I think that would be a good use. But of course, you don't get garlic until Roof, so in Adventure 1, Planterns just have nothing. But, you know, and Blover is also there, so... yeah, otherwise, other than those, like, I'm thinking of trying a fun strategy this level, yeah, it's not great. I'll just leave it there. I think where it is fine. You also have to make sure to put it on the right side. If you put it anywhere in the middle, then zombies can, like, switch to the middle of your other plants. That'd be terrible. Don't do that. So yeah, like, have to put them at the beginning. I mean, if you do that, then it's fine, I guess. But yeah, they're not that useful in early game like walnuts are. Just because, you know, moving a zombie to another lane could potentially be a problem. Though maybe you could move a zombie to a lane that has a shooter set up if you don't have... If every lane doesn't have a shooter yet. Even then, though, in the early game, you're mostly getting standard zombies, so... Yeah, this spot is fine for it. In the end. Umbrella Leaf. It's one of those hard counter plants that doesn't do anything otherwise, which means it definitely gets a low ranking, because it's just, you know... If there's catapult zombies, or bungee zombies, it's cool. If there's not, it's not. I mean... And, like, you can... The best thing to do is in levels with catapult zombies, you put it in lane 2, column 2, and put another in lane 4, column 2, and then basically your entire back area is protected completely by Umbrella Leaf. Protected from the catapult zombies outright, and so the only way catapult zombies can threaten you is if they start driving closer to you if you leave them alive long enough. But if you just don't, then, yeah, they're fine. I definitely won't put them down here. I mean, like, when those zombies are in the level, I do feel like I should bring it. So, yeah. I'll put it up here. These are like the, you know, if this zombie is in the place, or if I'm on this world, I'll bring it, sure. But otherwise, I just don't. And it's kind of what C tier is going to be, I guess. Like, except for Chomper, which can be, I don't know. I don't know about Chomper. I haven't really thought too hard about Chomper. Marigold. This plant does not attack zombies in any way, it doesn't provide sun, but what it does do is give you money. In Adventure 1, this is fucking useless, terrible, but we're not basing this on Adventure 1, we're basing this on the whole game, and I actually do think these guys are alright. I'll give them bottom of C, just because in later worlds, there's not enough room for them compared to all the other useful plants. But when I'm in Adventure 2, and I'm going through the early levels, and the early levels are really long in Adventure 2, because the whole Adventure 2 is harder than Adventure 1, obviously. But because the zombie types are still so limited, I don't need that many different types of plants. So I'm like, what should I bring? Why not just Marigold? Let's get Marigold in there, because... If I can, like, plant a column or two of Marigold while fighting off the very, very long level of zombies, they'll give me money over time, and I don't really see anything wrong with that. But yeah, they definitely get bottom of C, just because once you get to the point where there's a lot of zombie types, so you need a lot of plant types to go with it, Marigold is definitely gets the shaft. But for early Adventure 2, Marigold's pretty fine. You could also set one of these up in a survival level, like set them up just behind your row of sunflowers, just in front of your row of shooters, or your column, I guess. I don't know or care. Does that show up in the recording? Oh, it does. Look, it's the Plants vs. Zombies wiki. All right. Yeah, I think that spot's a fine spot for them. Ooh, Melon Pulse. Melon Pulse are so fun. They're so expensive, but when you can get them set up in the mid to late game, they're great. Obviously, in Adventure 1, they come way too late to be of any use. They are the last plant you unlock in Adventure 1, so yeah. But for everything outside of Adventure 1, I'd probably give them A. I find myself bringing these guys all the time. So, yeah, let's about there. About there is good. They are expensive at 300 sun apiece, but again, Adventure 2's levels are really long. Survival is long by design, so you will have the time to set up a full column of these. And when you do, there is no more satisfying feeling in this entire game. Well, okay, blowing up the entire final wave with the Doom Shroom, that might beat it, but watching the freaking melons explode all over the zombies is so much fun. And the sound they make, too, it's so good. This is a great plant. Considering that you tend to spend a lot more time with Adventure 2 and the minigame and the rest of the content than you do with Adventure 1, I think they definitely deserve their high ranking. So, yeah, there they go. Now we get to upgrade plants. These are quite interesting because, well, aside from this guy, everything up to here requires a base plant. For example, Gatling Pea needs Repeater down. And then you put the upgrade on. The upgrade usually costs a frick ton of sun. It usually has an endless cooldown. But in exchange, it's a super-powered plant. Which, is pretty cool. You also have to buy all these from the shop. Most of them aren't available in Adventure 1. Like, everything up to here is available in Adventure 1. Everything else unlocks after it's done. Or at least, like, anything else you'd want or care about unlocks after it's done. But, yeah. Starting with Gatling Pea, I mean, if there's room for it in the plant list, I'll bring it. But otherwise, I mean, repeaters are, of course, going to be the default, because you need repeaters to make these work. But, like, when I'm playing Adventure 2... especially, I definitely bring Gatling Peas. I don't know if I'd give them A tier, though, just because in Adventure 1, you unlock them in pool level of Adventure 1, along with the shop. When the shop opens up, so does Gatling Pea and Twin Sunflower. But in Adventure 1, the upgrade plants aren't as good because the levels are nowhere near as long, so you don't have as much time to use them. But again, Adventure 2 definitely makes room for them, and Survival especially, these things rock. They do quadruple the damage of a normal pea shooter, shooting a volley of 4 pieces at a time. It's great. And they take a while to set up, but when you can get them set up, oh my god, the zombies are toast. That said, of course, Repeater is definitely more useful. In fact, yeah. Repeater is definitely more useful. I'm just going, yeah. There we go. That's more like it. Alright, yeah, that's about all there is to say with Gatling Pea. Twin Sunflower... Even in Adventure 2, these really aren't that good. I find they're most useful in Survival, where you can slowly but surely replace your entire sunflower farm with twin sunflowers. And if you do that, you basically have unlimited sun. I mean, you can't lose anymore, which is, I mean, at that point, the twin sunflowers don't really make much of a difference, is the thing. I definitely think they're C tier, and they have the super long cooldown, they're really expensive, and just for what, like 1 extra sun per sunflower replaced? I don't find that very useful. Like, of course, in survival mode, because survival mode levels are super long and I have nothing else better to do, of course I'll replace my sunflowers with twin sunflowers, but like, what does that really do for me, other than give me such an exorbitant amount of sun that I was probably going to get anyway from the normal sunflower farm? So, yeah, not a great upgrade plant. But you know what is a great upgrade plant? Gloom Shroom. I think that's what this is called, right? Gloom Shroom. This is great. I'll definitely keep it in A. Like, when you... This thing's a beast. It has less range than the Fume Shroom, but it shoots in every direction, hitting every zombie around it. And, like, with the proper setup, you could use Garlic as well and synergy with it to force zombies down a certain lane where they will be fried from either side by Gloom Shroom. It is great. It is a great plant. Now... Okay, maybe I'll put it under Gatling Pea, just because to use it, it's good, undeniably, but to use it, you need Fume Shroom and Coffee Bean in a daytime level. To use it in a daytime level, I mean. In nighttime, I mean, it's hard. I personally like Gatling Pea more, but, like, I think this is stronger. This is just flat out stronger than Gatling Pea. So I'll definitely give it A. It's a good plant, but I think I tend to bring Gatling Pea more, but of course, that's fine. I definitely concede that Gloom Shroom is super strong, and if you can get them set up in a survival level especially, the zombies are absolutely fucked. They unlock very, very late in Adventure 1, so they're not as useful there, but obviously, Adventure 1's old news at this point. All these plants you will never be using in Adventure 1. All the plants we're talking about right now. Speaking of which, one of them is definitely Cattail. Now, Cattail, I love the design. The design is genius. The fact that the part of the cattail, so the brown part of the cattail, is the place where it is not only the tail, as is the name of the plant, but it's also where the projectiles are shot from. It's awesome, and it's a cat, so bonus points. That said, I mean, isn't that useful? it's an upgrade to a lily pad. But I feel like a lily pad with something like a sunflower or a Gatling pea would be better on the whole. To be clear, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words right now. I've been recording for a long time. An hour and 25 minutes. The cattail does shoot zombies in any lane. Their projectiles home in on the nearest zombies, so they can fire from any lane, even the dry land lanes. So that's their advantage. But even then, like, I don't know. I don't find them super terrific or anything. I'll probably put them up, like, here because, you know, in the longer levels where I have nothing better to do, may as well set up cattails, right? And, you know, it's just extra damage on the zombies on land, especially, so why the hell not? But would I want to set up a miniature army of these guys? Probably not. I've definitely set up an army of Gatling peas first. So I'll put them, like, there. That works. Yeah, sure. Wintermelon. Fun. This one is so much fun. This one is so much fun. This one is so much fun. You know, we're putting it below Melon Pult just on the basis that it takes way longer to set up than Melon Pults do. Obviously, because it's an upgrade to Melon Pults, so you need to spend all that extra time setting them up. But, man, this is the best plant that freezes things in the game. I mean, you know, for Adventure 1, you only have 2 plants that do that because you don't unlock Winter Melatonin? Winter Melatonin until Adventure 1 is done. But even then, it's like, it's just the best. I think it freezes zombies in the splash damage, same way that Melon Pults deal splash damage. And it's super strong. It's great. Fantastic plant. I don't think anyone's gonna fight me on that one. Definitely something I bring somewhat often. I might put it a little down just because, like, you know, if we're still considering the would I bring this plant that often question, then, like, yeah, I probably wouldn't bring it as much as I would Tall Nut or Torchwood or Cherry Bomb, but yeah, it's definitely up there, A tier. This is the worst upgrade plant by far. I mean, let me check the wiki real quick for details, because if it still does the same things as Magnet Shroom, it's called Gold Magnet, right? Yes, Gold Magnet. If it does the same things as Magnet Shroom, if it still pulls metal things off of zombies, it's fantastic. But otherwise, the only extra thing it does is it collects up to 5 pieces of money on screen, saving the player's time and allowing them to focus on attacking. It can attract both types of coins as well as diamonds. Thank you, wiki page. I should clarify, that's the wiki page I'm reading, not my own memory. Oh, okay. That's something I didn't consider. You don't have to wake the Magnet Shroom up to use this, and this isn't a mushroom plant. So it could replace? Question mark? Coffee bean? And it's only 50 sun to plant. So that's fine. Oh, but okay, never mind. They no longer steal metal stuff from zombies. All they do is collect money so you don't have to do it yourself. Wow, that is terrible. What? No. Awful. That gets demoted an entire tier on that alone. I was willing to keep it at, like, D, maybe a generous C placement if they still stole metal objects, but because they don't anymore, no, fuck off. Takes forever to set up, and all for what? Saving some time collecting money? Like, when are you gonna use this? Ever. Just, this sucks. Spike Rock. I know this is good. Like, it lasts a hell of a lot longer than Spike Weed, probably does more damage. I use it most in survival levels, but I never find myself bringing it that much. I'll give it bottom a B, just so I don't piss everyone off, because I hear that, like, people like using this plant, for sure. I'll bump it up, like, there, but I don't know. Not really my type of plant. That's not my go-to plant. It's something I only really bring in the survival stages. Otherwise, yeah, I just kind of forget it exists. But oh boy, Cob Cannon's something else. This is the last upgrade plant, but not the last plant just yet. Cob Cannon, you need 2 Kernel Pults. So, honestly, the existence of Cob Cannon kind of raises the value of Kernel Pults. But still, you know, Kernel Pults are in B tier. They're a plant I definitely do bring still. I find most use out of Cob Cannon in survival, which is super long, and, you know, it lets you switch in new plant loadouts every wave, so, or at least every set of waves. You know, a set of waves before a flag, so there's a lot more room to plant stuff, like, to set up stuff like Cob Cannon. And Cob Cannon's really good, Basically, it's a cherry bomb, but you can you click on a plant and aim it, and then it recharges over time. It's kind of like what Chomper is to Squash, in that, like, you know, it's a regenerating, and I think its cooldown is shorter than Cherry Bomb, or at the very least, you can set up multiple of these cop cannons and then have a bunch of things exploding at once. And then if you bring explosive plants on top of that, things get crazy. And I don't think they leave craters either, so yeah. They are overall good, but because I only find a lot of use out of them in survival, I definitely won't rank them super high, but I'll give them, like, yeah, up here. I definitely think these are helpful in survival. Maybe Adventure 2. Yeah. I don't know. Like, where exactly to place them among them? I'll go with this, sure. It's just they take a long time to set up, so survival is the only place where you really can get them set up in any reasonable amount of time. And then, after that, I mean, they're not that different from just using Cherry Bomb. But they are extra explosive plants on your side, which is undeniably helpful. So, yeah, I think that's a good spot for them. Finally, the copy plant. This is something I barely used because it costs a lot, and with how little money you tend to make in this game and how much every upgrade plant costs, buying this was hard for me. But this basically, you use it on another one of your plants in your current loadout to duplicate that plant, which basically means you can put 2 of that same type of plant down instantly with them having separate cooldowns, which is useful, especially for stuff like walnuts. I think it works best on, which, no surprise that it looks like a walnut already. It's probably supposed to be connecting that, though I think it's more like it's supposed to be a potato or something. I don't know what this plant's actually supposed to be, but it definitely looks like a walnut, and I think that's because that's the best thing you can use it on. Getting, like, 2 defenses placed down instantly, awesome, without having to bring in walnut and tall nut, which is a little redundant, usually. I think there is a small downside that you have to... the copy plant will spawn in this form at first, and then it will take some time to change to the plant, so it's not like you can throw down the copy plant directly in front of a zombie and have the effects of that plant go immediately, but it's still just such a short animation, it's definitely not a big deal. Just on the sheer fact that it takes forever to unlock, I think this spot's good for it, honestly. I can see how this plant would be really useful. But because it usually takes forever to unlock, assuming you buy the plants in order like some weirdo, I don't know, can you buy this any earlier than... I don't know, when does copy plant unlock? Let me look up some information about it. Copy plant, is that what it's called? Plant food, that's not it. The Imitator is its official name, I'm sorry, it's not copy plant. One of the 3 last plants attainable in the game, so yeah. It's $30,000, that's the most expensive plant. The wiki just said it right here. So yeah, because you get it so late into everything, into all PvZ content, I just never use it. And I guess it's like, it's probably most helpful in something like, I mean, it's most helpful in survival. Probably most helpful in the endless mode. It could get you, like, 2 kernel plants placed down instantly so you can prepare a cop cannon. That would be helpful. Aside from that, I think where it is fine. I can see how this plant could be really helpful, but otherwise, I mean... yeah, you unlock it way too late for it to do anything really good, so... and with that, that is my ranking of every single Plants vs. Zombies 1 plant. Let me just shut off the music real quick. Actually, no, I'll let the music finish. It's okay. It's okay, Elden Ring music. You can finish. Let me know what you think of my rankings down in the comments below if you watch this. If you don't, then that's fine. I guess I can take, like, another look at this real quick, see if there's anything out of place here. Walnut, I'd say, is definitely the best plant in its tier. Same with this. I think this is alright. You know, some of this stuff I was just kind of like slapping up on the list without really considering its placement, but yeah. And remember that all of the situational plants, the ones that are only useful in the world they're in, or only useful in one world, I'm only considering how useful they are in that world, so that's why Gravebuster and these 2 are so high. If it weren't for that, I mean, yeah, this would be like C, this, and the other Flower Pot would be D, this guy would be D, because it's just one world. they're good in. Otherwise, I think this is an alright ranking, just based on my own experience with the game. Now, if we were talking about mods, of course things would change, but we're not talking about mods, we're talking about the vanilla game, and this is, I think, appropriate for the vanilla game, so. Thank you all for watching, if you did, and as always, I will see you all in the future.